What is up, my friends on the internet? Back at it with another video, and on today's episode we are talking about 3 things I don't like about the Triumph Bonneville bobber. Let's get on into it. So obviously I love the Triumph Bonneville bobber, right? The bike is so nice that I quite literally bought 2 of them. But no bike is perfect, so in today's episode we're gonna go into a few things that I knew when getting a second one of these that I would want to change immediately. Obviously, time and budget play a factor. I can't just change every single thing I want to change about the motorcycle in one foul swoop, but there were a couple things that I knew needed to change right out the gate just for me to be happy and content, and I planned for those and budgeted for those as part of the purchase price, just to make sure that that money was still in the bank to do them without any wait. The first thing I wanted to change, you probably caught in the intro, that is the handlebars. The stock handlebars on the Bonneville bobber look good. They fit the bike's overall aesthetic of being low slung and just kind of aggressive, but for me, they don't fit my shape. I'm not the smallest dude. I am 5'11" and just under 200 pounds, and those bars put me into this weird kind of clamshell position that I didn't love. The pegs put my knees pretty high, which I do like, but having my arms really low, kind of resting on my thighs almost, I knew I wanted to change that right out the gate, so I did. I went with an 8-inch mini 8 bar that you're looking at right now, and I think these bars fit the bike perfectly. They have that nice kind of classic 50s swoop to them that works super well with the classic lines of the Bonneville bobber. They're also tighter in dimensions than the factory tall bar kit that Triumph offers, so they fit the overall size of the bike better, I think. It keeps everything tight and compact while allowing me to get my arms higher and kind of stretch out my larger frame. These bars were a mandatory addition. When I first saw them, I didn't know if they were gonna fit on the bike with all of its standard controls because they are not a factory Triumph part, but I am happy to say that they do in fact fit. It took a little bit of rigmarole that we won't go into. There was some modification and some tomfoolery that needed to take place to make these work, but they work, they are functioning great, and I couldn't be happier with them. Next up, I wanted to address the seat. The factory seat on the Triumph Bonneville bobber, again, looks perfectly fine, but it doesn't function super well. It is thin, it is hard, it is not comfortable at all. After about an hour or so, you definitely start to get the butt ache, at least I do, and I'm a fairly resilient rider. I've done a plethora of iron butt rides, I do long distance touring. I'm fairly used to being uncomfortable, but that seat just kind of sucks. And why suffer through something that you can easily change? The second problem with that seat is it is perfectly slick. If you hit the torque really hard on the bike, you'll actually slide back on the seat, and that is not super confidence inspiring considering the fact that there is nothing behind the driver's seat on the Bonneville bobber. There's just a nice fall off onto a fender. There's nothing there to save you. There's no sissy bar, there's no passenger seat. That is just earth behind you. So feeling like you're gonna fall back there is not great. So I wanted something that would lock me in while adding more comfort. And when I had the first Bonneville bobber, the seat I was considering was the diamond stitch seat that I actually went with. I had been thinking about it while I had no bobber, so when I got the second one, I ran out and bought the seat immediately. Install on that seat was pretty easy. It bolts right up. If you have any questions about the seat and you're trying to install one yourself, just reach out. I'm happy to help you if you're doing this. I'm not gonna show you the install because it's not that entertaining, but if you have questions about it, just drop them down below and I'll help out as much as I can. But this seat is a huge improvement. It's way more comfortable. It's a little wider, which again fits my larger frame better. And those diamond stitches really lock you in. When I'm hitting turns, I don't feel like I'm just gonna slide off. When I get on the throttle really hard, I don't feel like I'm gonna slide back. Great improvement, glad I went with it. And last up, the next thing I wanted to address on the Bonneville bobber straight out the gate was the lights. While Triumph did improve the headlight on these newer model bobbers, they made it a full LED unit. It is way brighter, it is way nicer. The turn signals still suffered in my opinion. They were a little too big for the overall dimensions of the bike, in my opinion. They had the right style, they were bullet shaped, they were round, they looked good, but they were just too large for what is the smallest in stature of the modern classics. I wanted something smaller, something more simplified, and the biggest offender in my opinion is the taillight on them. that taillight is just too big, too bulbous. It just kind of looks dorky. So I knew I wanted to address that right out the gate because it was something that bothered me on the last bike. So I did. For the rear, I went with two smaller bullet style LEDs that are completely integrated. They operate as the running lights with a nice red halo when you're riding around. When you hit the brake, they go full beam and light up really bright and red. And then the halo maintains and the center lights up in a nice amber color for your turn signals. Everything is small, compact, but way brighter than the factory stuff despite being smaller. And then on the front end, we went with some Denali turn signals that are also daytime running lights. They are super bright and they add way more safety to the front end of the bobber. I find myself on a lot of backcountry roads, on the highway in the dark, just in a lot of situations where having more light is better. Especially living in the South, when you're on a dark road, we all know what comes out the woods. Deer. Deer love running into the street in Georgia. So the more light I have to be aware that they are coming, the better. So this helps me out a lot. Again, like I said, nice, bright, and just like the rear, they are smaller in stature. They simplify things. They look more lean, and I think they fit the Bonneville bobber a lot better. Like I said, there's a bunch of things that I'm gonna change on this bike, but time and budget do play a role, so I have to be respectful of that, and slowly but surely, I'll make it happen in a more realistic time frame. I hate seeing these channels where they just throw thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars at a bike and pretend like that's normal. It's not. I work, I have to save money to buy parts. I don't get help from any company, so they're gonna roll out as I can, and I think that's more realistic of what you can expect if you wanna modify one of these. This isn't gonna be a sped up one day, the bike is done. This is gonna be months, if not maybe even a year or two until I get it exactly where I want it. But I think that makes it more fun, it makes it more realistic, and it gives me a bunch of content. So stay tuned. If you like the sound of building a bobber on a realistic budget, go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you like this, I would appreciate it if you hit thumbs up. If you have any questions, obviously drop them below. I try my best to answer all of those questions. Sometimes I miss some. If you ask me a question and I don't get around to answering it, just ask it again. I probably didn't see it, but that's it for this one, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.